Hello, everybody. Boy, that music is off the hook. You know, I love Stevie Wonder. He called me on my birthday and he congratulated me. It was really, I guess he congratulated me for being older. It was a wonderful thing. You know, this is Detroit, Motown sound, and all that wonderful stuff. Isn't she lovely? Well, you know, today we got a really, really, really good show. It's I got a great announcement for you. And we have a wonderful guest that's going to join us at 11:30. And her name is Sherry Gay-Dagnogo, right? Is that right, John?
Yes,
and
yes.
she's currently a state representative.
Yep, and she'll tell you the right spelling or right pronunciation of her name when
She'll get me straight. She'll
right,
get me
she'll
straight.
get you
I'm
straight.
sure.
I know her, Sherry Gay, from from
Okay,
City Council in Clyde, Cleveland. Years.
Okay, then that's good. So what's going on today, my friends, my Facebook friends, everybody that's online and listening to the Herb Strather's show on Detroit Talk Radio? We got a great announcement, and that is that our format is going to be changing a little bit. We've recently gotten approval from Detroit Association of Realtors, and it's going to be called now the DAR Network. Very shortly, it's going to roll out at the end of April as DAR Network. So May 1st, the first show in May will be Detroit Association of Realtors Network, and we're going to be broadcasting at 11 o'clock every day, and we're going to be talking about education and advocacy. You know, during the Great Depression, Detroit Association of Realtors was around. It was one of the very first associations in the entire United States. And it was because came in the 1800s, 18 something. So it's good and old. During the Great Depression, it became an advocacy, pushing for property owners' rights and stuff. And it engaged the community, and they fought the good fight. And now we're right back in the greatest recession, the greatest depression, however you want to say it, since the Great Depression. And as a board, I'm on the board. I will tell you, I'm on the board. I'm a board member of the Detroit Association of Realtors. And we've gotten together and we've said we've got to do something, that we're witnessing the disenfranchisement of our community. And we see it from a particular angle because we know how many deals we've put together that's gotten turned down. We know that the homeowners are now unable to redeem their property back. You know, you have a 6-month redemption right. They cannot redeem their property back. We know that there's no real advocacy for people who are low income and cannot afford to pay the taxes. They try to take advantage of the hardship clause, and they catch literally hell. So who's going to advocate for our community? It's in a tremendous change right now. And you know, this is all going to clear out in 2 or 3 years. So what we do is going to be very, 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 very critical. And everybody that's listening to me, and I know my DAR members are listening to me, and we also have people all over the United States that are listening, but my message is particularly acute to Detroiters. We have got to get involved in rescuing our communities. We can no longer sit back and be passive. You know, a pastor said, Herb, you know, it's almost like we've been shot by Novocaine. We're just walking around here with our mouth open. We're complaining. I had an article, Stop Crying and Start Buying. You understand? We've got to come, and this is the greatest opportunity we've ever had. And since we have all been born, it is the perfect scenario for us to become very, very wealthy. But I want to dive in here. I got you for about 20 minutes, and we wrote an article. We're in the midst of writing the article right now, DAR. It's going to be one of the first ones, but if you go to the Michigan Chronicle next week, you will see our article. We've submitted it for publication in the Michigan Chronicle, and we're going to have us a little space there, and we're going to talk about it. Now, I'm still coming on Wednesdays, but on Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, you'll have someone else, one of our realtors, or someone from DAR as an advocate. So the discussion we have now is really all about what can we do to counter the appraisal problem that we have in our community, the real estate valuation problem, if you will. And what I mean about this is we're in a really bad catch-22 situation. We cannot get and when we say comps, we're talking about the comparable sales data so that we can get the correct valuation. And we cannot get the correct valuation because we can't get the comps. So it's a catch-22. We can't get the sales because we can't get the comps, and we can't get the comps because we can't get the sales. So where does it start? Now, by definition, a sale is supposed to be an arm's length deal between a buyer and a seller, arm's length. So you come in and say, look, I want to buy this property, and we agree on the price and terms. We should be able to make that happen as long as it's reasonable and within the market value range. And we should put a pin right there and park the car there for a minute and talk about this valuation problem, because nobody knows what property values are right now. And they're in the midst of just rapidly changing in a matter of months or a matter of one sale. You're one sale away from doubling your property. Someone come on your block and they buy the property. Instead of paying $45,000, they pay $90,000. Now everything is worth $90,000. It's happening like every day almost in our city. And I've seen it personally with my eyes. 4826 right now is under play, just big time. Bagley right now is rapidly transitioning. And some communities right now haven't really had the hit yet. But soon as there's a sale, wait till there's a sale on Outer Drive for $250,000. All of those fabulous ranches are then going to be worth $250,000 like they were 10 years ago. But let's consider the dilemma. Let's say if there's a house on your block. If you ask 10 people, what is the property worth? You'll get 10 different answers. You can get answers ranging from $5,000 to $100,000. And you can prove it. You can prove it's worth $5,000 and you can prove it's worth $100,000. Certainly the homeowners on that block who have $100,000 mortgages at 7% interest, they're paying $1,100 and $1,200 mortgage payments, including their escrow. They certainly hope that those properties are worth $100,000. And whenever they sell property, they get the highest possible value. And then on the foreclosures, it depends on who's foreclosing. If it's HUD with a FHA insured mortgage, it may foreclose at what the mortgage balance is. It could easily be $75,000. Let's say if it's a bank that does not have HUD insurance, they get fully reimbursed for their losses. And there's one thing they want to make sure, that whatever happened, that it sells at the foreclosure auction or the sheriff's sale, we say. And they may let it go for $500, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000. And I would say that because my class go to the sheriff auction every Thursday, because we try to help homeowners. And those of you who need homeowners help, come where the dewdrops of mercy shine bright. But what the interesting thing is that we have witnessed homes go for pennies on the dollar. And what is so shocking is that the legal fees may be $3,000 or $4,000. The home sells less than the legal fees. That's what we're talking about. And then you get land contract sales, and then you get mortgage sales. But sometimes, just take this same home we're talking about. What comp are you going to use? Are you going to use the FHA comp that went for $75,000? Are you going to use the comp that the bank sold it for $2,000 or $500 or $3,000? Are you going to use that comp? What comps are you going to use? Because right now we don't have a plethora of comps that you can say this sold for this and we can justify it. And so how do you determine the value in a sense like that? Are you going to suggest in this environment that the property values are only worth the last comparable sale, which could have been a year ago, 9 months ago, whatever it was, and what was the condition of the property when it being sold? So here's the issue. You get a property in various conditions. Some of them sell for, they need fix-up. They need $20,000. I'd like to give you some examples because I want to talk about these problems, and then we want to get into what we consider a possible solution. But just look at some of the examples. There was a property I'll tell you, it was on Thatcher and Greenfield, and it was listed for $175,000. So one of my buyers were interested, so we put an offer in, really for $140,000 because we thought it was a very good deal. It was a vacant 4 units, 2 duplexes with attached garage. They had separate furnaces, hot water tanks, everything. I said, this is really great. They could rent for about $625, and we figured out that the net operating income would be about $1,500 a month or $18,000 a year. So at a 10% cap rate, $18,000 a year would equal $180,000. We got that. So we wanted it at $140, going to put maybe 10 in, and we were very happy with the number. The appraiser didn't have any comps to go by. So, I don't have any comparable sales. So I provided him with the income approach. I said, well, here's the income approach. Here's what they would rent for, and here's the comps on the rents all up and down the street. And this is what it would sell for. So but this was a 4-flat. It falls in the residential category and not really into the commercial category. It's not a multiple unit because it's really both. It's a 4-unit, but it still qualifies residential. So he really reluctantly agreed with me, but he hedged his bet and he came back at $126,000. Now, of course, I was disappointed at $126,000. Thought the deal was going to blow. But what was shocking was that the bank, and I won't say who the bank is right now unless somebody asks me. If you ask me on Facebook who it is, I'll tell you. So here's what happened. FHA told the bank that was processing the loan that they would not go with the 126, and they wanted nothing else to do with this property. It was shocking and frightening. It's like we engineered something. Where did you come up with this 126 value on something that would have an $18,000 net operating income? Well, what should the value be? Well, you know something? The seller was a probate matter. The seller had died while it was listed. I guess he died. So they said, look, we just want a cash sale. So my buyer ended up just paying $100,000 cash for it. So my buyer got a good deal, but the community didn't, because now there's a $100,000 comp. And the seller, of course, didn't get what they should have gotten. But nonetheless, my buyer's happy, but the community took a hit and the seller took a hit. Now, at the very same time, I was working on another property on Pembroke in Greenfield area, and I won't give exact addresses because there's a couple of 4-flats there. You could take either one of them. And so the interesting thing about it is we were negotiating, and once this 4-flat came back and they rejected 126, the seller, we had an issue putting it together, so the seller decided to take a land contract because they certainly wasn't going to take no 126 for their property. Hell, they owed more than $100,000 on it. So they sold it for $165,000 with $35,000 down. In other words, they ignored FHA and said, no, we won't deal with them. We'll sell our property directly to the buyer and just take back a land contract, because FHA will not allow our properties to be valued at the arm's length. So why Detroit? What happened to Detroit? The same thing really happened in Birmingham and Novi and all of those places, except if those realtors, if you remember a few years ago, we had no appraisal on our purchase agreements, because if it was subject to appraisal, it could come back and blow up. So the real deal was who had the cash offers. So the cash offers ruled. They came in and ignored the FHA appraisal, ignored what the appraiser said, and they paid cash. So why won't the appraisers allow the an arm's length agreement between the buyer and seller to rule? Why won't they allow that to rule? Well, here's one possible reason, and it's Dodd-Frank. They have some pretty tough rules in there as far as Dodd-Frank bill is concerned. And so I imagine that some of it had to do with that. Now, that's been amended to give us some easing. And I think that the Obama administration really tried very hard to be fair. They bailed out the banks, and they made the deal with the banks to say, look, we don't want you to go after the buyers with deficiencies. In other words, the difference between what the mortgage sold for at the foreclosure and what the mortgage balance is called a deficiency. They said, do not go after the buyers, and we will fully reimburse you. You understand? I got that. Fully reimburse the banks, but did the banks have a responsibility to at least try to get a decent price? No. And let's take HUD right now. I like HUD. Listen, don't get me wrong. I don't mind buying things good and cheap. Now, let's get that straight. You understand? But I'll give you one more analysis. There was a couple of properties on Sunderland south of 6 Mile Road that sold. One of them 2 years ago, one of my students bought it. And they bought it for $14,009. And what was so very interesting is that it was a flip. In other words, the person was buying it from HUD for around $7,000 or $8,000. Can you imagine North Rosedale Park, $7,000 or $8,000? I mean, you could get to the ridiculous, and this was a ridiculous situation. And we were buying it for 15. We couldn't believe it. And when we found out the HUD was selling it for 7, you know, I mean, my man was trying to do a dual closing. You know, I said, look, my man, it's okay. I don't care if you make any money. Let's just let one title company, because it's a cash transaction. My client is putting down cash. You pay off HUD. Let one person handle it all at once. You know, sometime in these dual transactions, realtors, we kind of like don't want the left hand to know what the right hand is doing. I don't care. You bring me a deal. So we were happy. They put about 20 grand in. It's well over 100,000. Beautiful home. Now, what's interesting is the bank, a bank, you know, HUD and the banks, they kind of work very closely. The bank, within the last 12 months on Sunderland Street, auctioned off the house next door, came out at 20 grand. So in a matter of 15 minutes, my purchaser put an offer in for 21.5. Cash, by the way. For some reason, we didn't get it. They was asking 20. We paid, offered more. Didn't hear anything, and 2 months later we found somebody else bought it. Now we still haven't gotten the explanation on how could we be the first one to put a full cash offer in. It went for $100 more. Nobody ever called us, but that's not the purpose of my discussion today. Here's what happened. The buyer who bought it renovated it, and we can estimate what they put in. I mean, it's a beautiful house. They painted the entire outside. They had a lot of guys out there just really working, getting it together, doing the floors. They went through it. I would tell you they probably spent 35 or 40 grand on that renovation. From my observation, what I think, you know, just looking at it, I didn't get their bills and stuff, but I just cannot imagine it was 20. I think it was about $35,000 to $40,000. They have it on sale right now for $165,000. It's currently listed, and you can go look at it right now on multi-listed at $165,000. Now, but here's the problem. The comp says 20. That's the problem we're dealing with. And when we try, and it doesn't say, you know, it's in bad condition, or that the comp says 20. So the bottom line is that DAR, Detroit Associated Realtors Board, says, are we going to be relevant, or are we going to sit back and watch the total disenfranchisement of our community? Now, this is one issue. There are other issues that we're going to talk about, and at 11:30, we're going to talk about the issue of being disenfranchised with share sales. But right now, we're talking about the disenfranchisement of just the comps. So we have some suggestions ourselves as to what should we do as realtors. And allow me to read these off, and then we're going to go into a break. Okay, so here we go. The Detroit Association of Realtors' position is that, number one, we can help offset this by including the full price in the purchase agreement, the full consideration. You're buying something for 20, and you're going to spend 15 or 20 or 30, at least put the whole amount in there. If you're going to buy it for 20, you're going to spend 30, say 50 at least, and take a credit for the rehab. That is one thing. That will help shore us up a little bit. Number two, consider using seller-held mortgages whenever you do transactions instead of land contracts. The appraisers will not consider land contracts very much, because it's an arm's length agreement between two parties, two private parties, and I got that, you understand. But if you use a mortgage, depending on the attractiveness of the sale itself, if it's a good comp, use a mortgage, take back a mortgage, and you could put the mortgage, you could create an assumed name that sounds financial, or LLC. You could take the mortgage back in an assumed name or in an LLC that you wholly own. But and it would be more than likely picked up on the computer as a legitimate sale. Now, all sales are legitimate. They all are legitimate. If there's an arm's length sale between the buyer and the seller, it is legitimate. But there are two lending institutions in Detroit that's doing something about it, and they were created for that purpose. One of them is called Detroit Home Mortgage. Detroit Home Mortgage will loan you $75,000 over and above the after repair value, and they have $40 million available to do it, and they've only spent a couple of $1 million. And you've got the big companies like Kresge's and Ford Fund and all of them adding up the money, because they know that the valuation is psychological. It's no way possible you could have a high demand for houses, no supply, and a low value. That's theoretically impossible. Now, you know, everybody, all of my Wayne State and University of Michigan, I mean, you know, we're smart. We went to school and we understand supply and demand. And it's elementary math right here. If you have a big demand for something and no supply, obviously the price is going to be high. But the wonderful thing is we have a big demand, we have a low ready supply, but a huge inventory of raw homes that are vacant that you could buy and put a few dollars in and sell them in the marketplace. So let's get back to this. Detroit Home Mortgage have $75,000 available. We want to deal with them. We also recommend working with NACA. And they have $13 billion available, and they will work with low credit scores, and we have the lowest credit scores in the nation right now in southeastern Michigan, the lowest in the nation. Thus, everyone have lowered the credit scores in order to deal with us, because credit scores is a regional thing based upon comparable what everybody else have. So give me 2 more minutes and I have it wrapped up for you. We want you to deal with NACA, N-A-C-A, and you can go straight on your computer and look at them. It's Neighborhood Assistance Corporation of America. They will loan 50% over and above their after repair value, no credit score, no down payment, and no closing costs. Thank God for these institutions that are willing to say, we're going to invest in Detroit. And finally, we figure we should form some kind of advocacy group that is for those investors that want to really learn and get into it, that's very affordable, because we have these people coming from out of town. You know who they are, you know. I don't even have to mention, because they're all over the TV and the radio. And they said, come to our free seminar, and we show you how to flip houses and get you started, and we give you this little free this, that, or the other. And you go there, and you know your initial payment over the weekend is anywhere from $300 to $1,000, okay? So fine. And they give you good stuff, you know. They may not know where Joseph Campbell is, but they give you what they give everybody else over the country. And then they bring you back, and they want you to pay $30,000, $40,000 to $50,000. And all of the programs are exactly the same. They're all $30,000, $40,000, and $50,000. So they come in here every other month, and they take millions of dollars out of our community every single month, every other month. And it is ridiculous. We sit there and do it. Some of you came to the class in tears. So we're going to form a mastermind group, that we can do something affordable. Instead of being $30,000 a year, we're making $500 a year. You know, something that is affordable so that we can take information and feed you this information and show you how to structure these transactions, how you can leverage them and pull cash out of them, how you can take and form tax-exempt entities using LC3s and become property tax exempt, as a matter of fact. How you can offer missions and affordable services, how you can buy using bargain gift sales under Internal Revenue Code 170. How you can take and buy your interest rates down to 1/8, where therefore you got a $100,000 property, and you know what? Your mortgage payment is not even $300 on a $100,000 loan. Sellers can provide concessions on that. We'll show you how to structure transactions that you could take cash out at closing when appropriate, through using temporary contracts and mortgages and the like. So we're forming a mastermind group, and we're going to do it through Strather Academy, and I'm sure through DAR also. So DAR is in the formation of it. We're going to have it available for you. But those of you who's interested, just contact us right now at 313-444-9691. Now, we're almost in place, and you're going to hear from my fellow realtors, my fellow board members, about how we're going to get in and tackle this. And DAR, I'm just one person, you know, but I am also a part of DAR, so I'm talking today kind of in both. But you're going to hear from them. Oh, yeah, you're going to hear from us. And we are stepping up to the plate, and we will not allow the disenfranchisement of Detroit. Hang on, because Sherry Gay, and she's going to tell me how to pronounce her name right. She is here. And get ready. Tell all of your friends. I'll be back to you in a minute.
Herb Strather Live.
Hey, we are back, and I have a very beautiful young lady that's been on the battlefield a long time. Sherry Gay-Dagnogo.
Yes.
Dagnogo.
Dagnogo. Yes.
Yes, sir. Everybody, this is a wonderful thing. Sherry, thank you so much for joining me today. You know, I've seen you for many, many years. I know you've been out in the battlefield. So tell us a little bit about yourself. You were born in Detroit?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes, native Detroiter, grew up on the northwest side of Detroit, come from a labor family, parents worked in the auto factories,
Okay.
Ford Motor Company.
Did you go to Cooley or
General
something?
Motors. No, I didn't go to Cooley.
Mumford?
No,
I
I didn't go.
stopped guessing. Okay, you said Northwest Detroit.
I went to Parker Elementary, born on Burlingame in Dexter.
Okay.
I went to Parker Elementary. I went to Winter Halter
Yes.
Middle School. Then we moved to Oak Park for a while, and so I went to Oak Park Public Schools as well.
Okay.
So I'm a Redskin, and I'm actually kind of mixed. I went to Retford High as well.
Okay.
For a couple of years at Huskies.
Okay.
So I am owned by both the Huskies and the Redskins
All right.
at Oak Park High School.
But you have Detroit DNA.
Oh,
too.
all the way, through
100%.
and through.
Right.
Ride or die Detroiter.
Right. Now, you've been involved in the city council a long time.
Yes.
haven't you? I've seen you so
Yes,
many times.
yes.
Okay, go ahead. Tell
So I had the pleasure of working for Alberta Tinsley Talabi
Oh, yeah.
and Clyde Cleveland.
Okay.
So collectively for 9.5 years, and John Hill and I worked very closely.
You know John,
Yes. For for years,
John
for
is my man,
years.
John.
Yes. I mean, we at that time working for city council.
It was family.
It was outright family.
All right.
And we're still family to this day. Some of them try to act new. John don't do that.
Right.
But some
They
of them
know
try
the
to
story.
act new. But I reach out to, whether it was Gil Hill's office, Kay Everett's, Nick Hood's, it didn't matter.
And this
Rabbits.
is during Coleman's administration, too, right?
Coleman
all right.
and then Archer,
Okay.
and then
Okay.
lastly Kwame. But
Okay.
yes. So working during that era, certainly we were family. Doors were open.
Oh,
And forget Ken Cockrell.
Annette Rainwater was Clyde's chief of staff,
Yeah.
and she had everybody on that floor working her program.
that
Some
is
days
your-
I didn't know whether I worked for Clyde or Annette.
You know, they said one thing about Annette. Annette knew how to delegate. She could do some delegation.
Oh yeah. So and most of my upbringing politically and my training politically really came from that experience at city council. I came in working for Alberta just basically as a receptionist, and grew into everything from raising money for the candidates that I was working for, organizing get out the vote rallies that we
Okay.
had down at Shane Park, even working with Jackie, the late Jackie Curry,
Oh, yeah.
as a
No question
volunteer.
about it. So I guess you graduated. You probably became chief of staff somewhere along the
No,
line.
I never became chief of
Well,
staff.
But you worked all the way up in any event, and now you are a
State rep, yes.
in the 8th district.
Yes, northwest side of Detroit.
Okay, well, what's the boundaries?
The boundaries are the northernmost point is 7 Mile on the south side of the street.
Okay.
Westernmost point is Telegraph, 5 Points.
Okay.
Just peeks over just a little bit past Telegraph at some points. Southernmost point is 96 Schoolcraft,
Okay.
Castle Rouge Community, and the easternmost point is Meyer. So
Myers?
right there at Grand River, yes, your
Wow.
shop at Grand River
Yeah.
and Greenfield
Right.
is in my district.
That's fabulous.
Yes, it is.
If you ever want to hold any community meetings, you'll 100% got the space.
Awesome.
Absolutely gratuitous. That is really, really wonderful. I'm glad to know who my rep is. I
How
can
about
get
that?
fined for this at office.
And Sherry's going to take you up on that, Herb.
And Sherry,
Absolutely, because we have a lot of forums, events. But I
Oh,
saw
I
you.
love it so
I saw. We
much.
talked about that. And so now I got to figure out, did you tell me the truth? You told me you voted for me.
well, you're a Democrat,
Yeah.
so you have.
Yeah,
You,
but I saw you at a back to school rally right
Yeah.
over. Remember, or right across on Grand River and Greenfield. We were actually doing the get out. Not just to get out the vote, but we were getting our kids registered back for DPS
Yes.
a couple of years back. And so
Yes.
I was there with the principal and teachers from Edison School. And I am a
Yeah.
former teacher.
Yes.
Former teacher. So I love city council, went into the classroom, found all these challenges. I love talking to our more senior leadership to get their knowledge, and it was a blessing.
I met you. Are you up for re-election now?
Oh,
or
yes.
No? You are now?
Yes. I'll be going into my last and final term.
Because it's just a 2-term deal.
No, it's 3.
It's 3,
in
so
the,
it's
in the
2
House
years,
is 3.
2 years, and 2
yeah,
years.
2, which is,
So you've already been there. This is your 3rd term.
I will be going into my 3rd
Well,
term.
you're going to get it. Y'all got that.
Yeah,
we're
vote
going to
for
elect.
me.
Now, let's get that straight.
Vote for me.
Yes. Absolutely,
Yes.
we're going to vote
I
for
do
you.
have some challengers.
You do? Well, who would challenge you?
Well, I don't know, but we're going to do the work.
We're not going to name them.
We're not going to even mention
No name recognition
I
here.
don't want to know. You understand?
Yes.
So, this is just really, really wonderful meeting. We have some really unique challenges in Detroit.
Absolutely.
And part of this show, we're, by the way, changing our name to Detroit Association of Realtors Network.
Well, I have full support from the realtors.
Well, that is really, really wonderful because we think we need to step up now because Detroit is being disenfranchised. And many of the things no one even know about yet. And I'm sure you probably don't know about this because it just happened. But I want to tell you about it anyway. And because we haven't sounded the horn loud enough. But, Detroiters are losing their properties on many fronts.
Yes.
We do have the hardship fund, whereas people who are below the federal level, the poverty level, do not have to pay property taxes. I mean, it's a very difficult situation to get it approved, but they are getting through. The question is that 99% of them don't know about it, but that's not.
That's true.
That's not. They can get through. They go through difficulties. They make them jump a lot of hoops, and a lot of them just get frustrated.
A lot of our people need assistance.
They
getting
need
the
help.
paperwork completed.
They need assistance,
Yes.
and so we want to offer Detroit Association of Realtors. We want to be an advocate, and we want to educate, at least let them understand how to get down there, where to get the applications, and go down this room 804 in the City County building. You can go online, download those applications, give them everything they want, and take it down there. If you make $16,700 a year and you're single, you don't have to pay property taxes. And Sherry would really, and even if you make if you make $41,400 and it's a family of 8, you don't have to pay property taxes. How many single moms that makes $25,000 and got 2 or 3 kids? They don't have to pay property taxes. And it breaks my heart that they lose their property and they don't know when they find out. They say, "You mean I didn't have to even pay?"
Our people perish for a lack of knowledge, and I'm very appreciative of Detroit Association of Realtors for providing that level of awareness. And we have to do more.
Yes.
We have to share this information with all of our social institutions,
Yes.
At our schools, our PTA, our churches, so that we can get people in, because we're coming up to a deadline right now for folks to get into a plan. Our Wayne County Treasurer, Eric Sabri, has been doing a phenomenal job getting out, sharing information. But my office is reaching out to a list of about 400 people in my district who may not know that they have until Monday a deadline to get a tax deal negotiated to save their property. And sometimes when people are down, they're financially challenged, they're not looking at the mail, they're depressed. So they just kind of throw things away, push them aside, hoping they'll go away.
So this list, you're saying that the 400 people, these are
That's
people
just
that you're
in my district.
in your district,
Yes.
that you are aware that
Yes.
these people are
Yes.
behind on their property
Yes.
tax and they can lose it, and they have a chance right now.
Yes, absolutely.
They have a chance to get down there to 400 Monroe
Absolutely.
by Monday, and
Hopefully they can see this
this
message.
week.
Yes. And for people who are watching who don't know what the status is of their property, I mean, knowledge is power.
There's no question.
Go ask. Call.
Right.
Our Wayne
Or
County
go
Treasurer.
to WayneCounty.com. That's as simple as it
Look
can
it
be.
up.
WayneCounty.com. You can be pay taxes online. Go there and you'll see. And it'll tell you what the status is
Yes.
right there. WayneCounty.com. And Facebook listeners and everything, my Facebook friends, we have got to get the word out.
Yes,
you
it's
understand?
very important.
Because we cannot afford to become disenfranchised, our community. And you know something, one of the things, there's so much buoyancy in the real estate market right now. We have a lot of Detroiters coming back home, Europeans and stuff like that, white people coming back in. And I'm not mad at them because they're Detroiters.
Absolutely.
You understand? The question is that the homeowners who have been here, who've owned this home for 35, 40 years, why can't they sell it to them then? Why do they have to lose the house? And it goes to the auction, and we're all over the world.
Yeah, and what I see a lot happening a lot is out-of-towners that
come
are
in
buying
here eating our lunch.
Properties by the hundreds and thousands, and that's so unfortunate. My caucus, the Detroit caucus, we've talked about ways to try and prevent and halt massive
purchases like
land
that.
grabs.
Well, you know what? That is really hot. Listen here. I want y'all to hang on. We're going to take a break for a minute, and we're going to come right back to you. This is good and hot. I love this. Tell everybody. Get everybody on the line.
Herb Strather live.
Herb Strather and Sherry Gay-Dagnogo.
Oh, you say it perfectly.
Yes. This young lady's been in the battlefield a long time. I've visited the city council 1,000 times, and I've always seen her there working, just really going after it. And now she is our state representative in the 8th district. And I should be fine because I didn't really, I shouldn't even admit it, but I guess I didn't really know who all my reps are.
That's
so
okay.
please forgive me, and I'm going to make up for it. You know why?
Why?
I'm going to throw you a party.
Y'all heard him, right?
Everybody, all of my realtors, Detroit Associated Realtors, we're throwing the party. When you
Sky Club is open.
No,
Herb.
let's throw the party in our district, right in our district, okay, right where everybody's at. Mm-hmm. You can give me a date. You want a date?
No, we'll get it together.
We're going to get it together, and we're going to let you know what days the party, because she's running for re-election.
Yes.
And she's a trooper 100%.
That's right.
You know, Sherry, it's up to us to get together so that we will not be totally disenfranchised. We were talking about, we left off on the Wayne County.
The foreclosure.
The foreclosure. Now, you have a couple of numbers.
Yes. So the Wayne County number is 313-224-5990. That's Wayne County Treasurer.
We repeat that one more time.
313-224-5990. The Detroit Association of Realtors, 313-962-1313. Again, that's 313-962-1313. If you happen to live in the 8th House District, you can call my office at 517-373-3815. Again, that's 517-373-3815. Our office has a list of properties that are in the 8th House District, and we will be trying to outreach by knocking, but we're also doing robocalls out to let people know to please check with the Wayne County Treasurer's Office before the deadline on this Monday. If you know someone who is down in their finances, don't let them just lose their property. There is an opportunity for them to renegotiate the cost. And you know, I was at a meeting the other day in my district, a District 1 meeting that Councilman Tate had, actually, and it was a lot of community groups there, and there are a lot of seniors there. And what I'm disappointed about is, see, that's why institutional knowledge is important. When John and I worked at City Council, the CDBG NOF block grants was available for home repair for low-income people as a grant.
Right. Absolutely.
That changed under our current administration. It is now a loan.
Oh, I see.
And so we're asking seniors to take out loans, and many of them have been here. They've carried the burden of the city for years. They stayed when others left.
Right.
And now many of them can't afford to get steps, a roof, gutters, etc.
I see.
And they have to go through the process of getting a loan as opposed to the grant that used to be available. And so, you know, when we see that resources are continuing to diminish, we have to all in our community come together and share resources that are available. Certainly, hardship, as you mentioned earlier, if you're at the poverty level, if you're one individual, $17,000 or less, we want to make sure that they get into a program so they're not burdened with the expense. And you have to fill the paper out annually.
Yes, there's no question
but we
about
should
it.
have people who are out here helping them to fill out those papers. And so that's what I want to do with the Detroit Association of Realtors.
That is absolutely,
we might
we love
have a
that.
marathon one night where
Absolutely.
we just set up camp.
Realtors, this is
in
music
your
to our
building on
ears.
Greenfield and Grand
Right.
River,
Right.
and bring people in and fill out that paperwork. That's how we get our young people involved. Give them something meaningful to do to help our seniors and help people who are down
Right.
financially.
Now, if you got your sign, I want to put it on the building too, because
Okay.
it's the second busiest intersection in the city of
Yes,
Detroit
yes.
with 49,000 cars a day.
Absolutely.
The only intersection is busier than that is Grand River and Telegraph. So we want to put your sign there so they'll know that this is your district. This is where you rule at.
Thank you. I appreciate
The
that.
other thing that is, Sherry, that is really bothering us that we've just happened, really, and we want to make sure our legislators know about it, and I'm sure this is probably the first time you heard about it, is over there at the Register of Deeds, Bernard Youngblood's office have all of a sudden decided not to take and give redemption certificates to people who are redeeming their homes. You know, you got 6 months after you lose your house.
Right.
So their position now is that we have to go to whoever bidded on their house and bought the house, and who bought the house, and get an amount from them in order to redeem their house. So let's say if someone's house traditionally, let's say if the house bidded for $10,000, you got 6 months, and you got
Right.
to pay per diem interest, so you
Right.
got 7%. So let's say you want to redeem your house, you're going to have to pay about $350 worth of interest. It's a per day deal.
Right.
But let's say the third month you got the money, you want to go over and say, I want to redeem my house. Here's $175. Here's $200. They'll say, no, you have to go find out who bought your house. And there's an affidavit filed with the phone number, and you call them and you get their okay. And you call them up, and you know what? They want $10,000.
That's terrible.
One of them said, no, I want $35,000, man, because that house is worth $75,000. I said, you got to be joking.
That's terrible.
So, in other words, we can no longer redeem our house.
Yeah, that's terrible.
We will not put up with this as a community. And the Detroit Association of Realtors, we're livid about it. At our last board meeting, I brought it up, and everybody hit the ceiling and said, we're not going to allow this.
So I want to work hand in hand with the Detroit Association of Realtors to bring awareness to this.
Yes.
Also, if you could give me what that bill is, that legislation.
Yeah, it's Senate Bill 265 right now. We need to put some fire, because what we don't want to happen is for the legislators to go into recess, summer recess, and this is still pending.
Right.
And you know, one of the interesting things, there's 2 or 3 culprits in this deal that I think they got on top of Bernard Youngblood's office and made this happen. But one of them buys 80% of all of our properties, and they sit there and they bid on every single house, and they live in Dallas. And he flies up Wednesday nights. He's flying in tonight for tomorrow morning to sit up and eat our lunch.
And we turn feather him her.
Man, I am so mad. I don't know. I'm
From
livid
Dallas.
about this. Yes. In other words, this guy don't even live here. You understand? And then he takes advantage because there's a
Preying
little loophole.
upon poor people.
Preying upon us. You know what he calls us? A third world country. He said, man, you know, you got you're a third world country with those rules you got down there. And he thinks this is funny. And
No, this
so
is
what we've done, we've redeemed 3 properties. And we've paid. Now, what they will do there at Youngblood, they will take the cash that we pay, and they will put a receipt and record it against the property that we've paid in full. But he refuses to relinquish it. Now, so all of our payments are all in cash right now. We sit back with close to $100,000, and he got his money up, and we got ours, and we're just sitting there for the fight. Now, I told him, we're not budging, buddy. We are not budging. And one of the cases was a 2-flat. It was two flats on Fullerton. One, they closed 2 weeks apart. It was an amazing thing. One of them closed in December, and the other one closed in January. The one in December was before this new ruling, and we redeemed it. The same party, it was a probate matter. They owned the 2 properties on Fullerton together, but the other one closed in January, and it got caught.
Do you have any idea how many citizens are being impacted by this shortening of the redemption period? And
now the shortening of the redemption period is something else too. What they do, they'll go by and they will take and say, or if the ruling now is that if they wanted to see the inside of the property and you do not show them the inside, your redemption period is reduced to 30 days now.
Wow.
It's no longer 6 months. And one property,
all these rules are being changed.
They
to
have been
shake
changed.
Detroiters out of your property. Wake up, Detroit.
listen, we're going to have a symposium. We're going to have a symposium very, very shortly, and we want everybody to get engaged. I want you to take this You can go to Strather Academy and listen to it. You can download it, send it out. We want everyone to be engaged in this because we have got to come together, and we're going to work hand in hand, Detroit Association of Realtors. We really, really appreciate you working with on that.
And Herb,
let's make some noise about this.
Is that Senate Bill 265 that?
Yes,
It is Senate Bill 265. I want you all to call up your reps and let them know this has got to take and get approved. And Senate Bill 265.
And this is a bill that you're saying that Bernard Youngblood is supportive of?
He is supportive of Bill 265, I would think, because I said, Bernard, how could you allow this? He says, well, look, I'm not you. You said you go to your legislators. I said, where? He said, there's a Bill 265, that's pending, and you tell them to change it because we're not supposed to do this. I said, but you've done it for 100 years. Why did it change now? You mean something you've done for more than 100 years? You decided to change it right now, right in the middle of this dogfight?
You know what, Herb? That's why I say I come from an era in politics where there was more communication among all the levels of government. And that's why we have to have leaders that understand and build relationships with our civic community from all levels: Wayne County Register of Deeds, Treasurer, City Council, Wayne County Commission, so that we can be aware of issues like this and legislation like this that hurt our community, and not just throw up our hand and say, oh, that's just the way it is.
Right.
If we don't know, if we're not communicating with each other,
right,
if we're not doing our job of bringing awareness to the citizens, we all should be lined up against legislation that would prevent our long-term residents from salvaging and saving their property.
Sure. You know what we want to do? We're going to get together and collaborate how we're going to roll this out. And then I'm going to bring you back on the show again, and we're going to announce to everybody what we're doing.
Absolutely. I'd be
honored. We're going to give
to.
them dates, and we're going to tell them what we're going to do. We got a couple of minutes. I just want to tell you that I don't want to tell everybody that Strather Academy, we are advocates right now. And we have
tell me about the programs.
Our program, we're teaching the next generation of developers, which I'm taking it out of my head. I've been fortunate enough to close $2 billion in deals as a Detroiter, which means I've closed more deals as a Detroiter now than anyone in the history of Detroit. Because there's no individual that closed $1 billion that lives in Detroit. Now, don't get me wrong, Ms. Illich, Dan Gilbert, I'm sure they've closed a few billion. I'm talking about people who live in Detroit.
Right.
There's no person that lives in Detroit that ever closed $1 billion, and I've closed $2.2 billion. $1 billion of it was the casino that I sold, Ms. Illich, but still over $1 billion in just transactions. Woodbridge Estates was $100 million. So the thing is that I need to take this knowledge out of my head right now and share it with the young people, a new generation that's going to see to it that Detroit take their place.
Right. And
so we're saying to those of you who want to join, go to Strather Academy and join the mastermind group. They got these guys, Thad Merrill and Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and all of them. They come in here. They charge $30,000, $40,000, or $50,000 to mentor. They don't even know where Joseph Campbell is, and I'm so pissed off. They come in every other month. It's not like they come in once a year. Every other month, and they take out $2 or $3 million a month.
Herb, can you tell Paula's story, one of your students?
Paula, one of my students came in, and she was just in tears. She had paid the $30,000.
$30,000.
$30,000. And these guys, they can't really mentor her, because they don't know the intricacies, in Detroit, the programs, the streets, and the whole thing, the politics, and reading between the lines and making deals like we do. We live and breathe Detroit. So she went back to her husband. He wasn't giving her no more money. So she brought $6,000 from her daughter. She took my class, which was, $1,000 at the time. I think it was $1,400 at the time. And she took my class. She took that $6,000, including what she paid for the class, and she read it up to $5,500 per month cash flow right now. She did it in 14 months.
Wow.
And she could do that because she could buy the houses for $500 or $1,000. You see, the bank gets fully 100% reimbursed for the homes. If they get fully reimbursed, they don't care what they sell them for. They sell the houses for less money than they pay for
for
the lawyers.
And why is that?
Because they get fully reimbursed for the losses. Obama had,
Is that the PMI? I mean, what is
No.
that?
What happened is that the Obama administration bailed out the banks, and so they made a deal.
So they don't even have a vested interest in making sure that the person don't lose their home because they're going to get paid anyway.
Well, essentially any loss they get 100% reimbursement. The problem is they create comps that pushes the value of our property down. So when somebody makes a sale,
Right.
then you can't, there's no comps to support the sale. So what is happening, same thing that happened in Birmingham and Southfield. The properties that are jumping in value in the areas they're jumping, it's all cash transaction. You know where they're coming from, don't you? Young white kids with trust accounts, and they'll just walk in and pay $500,000 cash.
Wow.
All of a sudden the values have jumped. But in the meantime, in our community, we don't have these resources. Now, this is where Detroit Home Mortgage is coming in and helping.
Okay.
But nobody knows about Detroit Home Mortgage.
Well, I want to get my people that are out there, because I have a number of realtors. I'll probably get in trouble saying some of their names because I'll leave out somebody.
Yeah.
I have a lot of supporters that are out there and family members that are realtors that I want us to pull this conversation together, have this rich dialogue, and make some millionaires in our own community.
I love this,
I know
Sherry.
recently myself and Senator Knizik, we were working very closely with the whole veterans development that was supposed to be in our district on 7 Mile and Lasser. Very disappointed.
Mine.
Very disappointed that it's not going to be there. At this juncture.
It is a terrible situation.
Very much so.
And I wish we had a little bit more time. I'm glad that you're working with that, because let me tell you something. The city of Detroit bought this property
Yes.
3 years ago, and they had us empty the building. Then they ran out of money and couldn't close it. And all of my students is left holding a bag now that the city defaulted on and didn't close.
I'm disappointed on them getting that property at the 9th hour. To me, it looks like it was to prevent the development of a veterans facility.
You mean the
in
golf
city.
course?
Yes.
Well, and let me tell you something. Not only did they do that, they didn't. I went to the city and gave them the development plan, and they said, well, let us take and do a study. We said, okay, let's do the study. Then they went right around me to the seller and made the deal. I said, wait a minute, it's my deal. I'm under contract. They completely ignored me.
I wish I had been consulted. I am a member of that church across the street, but I wish I had been consulted to prevent that was a
bishop,
game. Game
I said,
got ran.
Don't get them started, Sherry. Don't
Game
get them started,
got
because
ran.
he will not stop.
Game got
Sherry,
ran.
it is so disappointing.
Dexter, game got ran.
Well, listen here. Listen, y'all. I'm bringing Sherry back. It's going to be the Sherry and Strather show. You understand that? SOS.
Oh
I mean,
my God.
really, Sherry,
I'm mad
I
about
want
that.
you back into, because, I mean, I spent a lot of money, and the city administration went right around me. They wouldn't do that to Dan Gilbert.
Game got ran. Cut us out of 200 plus jobs, a veterans facility right in the city of Detroit, and the developers got cheated out of a nice chunk of change.
We got
So
totally
game got
cheated
ran.
out. Yeah. And I said, well, look, whatever the city gave, I would give the church that myself.
Game got ran.
So in any event, our time is up right now.
I'm from Detroit.
We
don't do Detroit.
We got
I'm
a
from
real
Detroit.
partner right now. That's good news that we got a really great partner. And we want you to remember to vote. This is Sherry Gay-Dagnogo.
Yes.
You understand?
Sherry, I was going to say, Herb and Sherry, can you say your phone numbers once again if people want to get in touch with you?
Listen, for Strather, 313-444-9691. 444-9691. Go right there and register. Sherry, give them your numbers.
If you want to contact our office for legislative reasons, 517-373-3815. 517-373-3815. If you want to join us on Easter morning at 8:30 a.m. as we serve our seniors Meals on Wheels at 8:30 at Restoration Towers, we'll kick off. You can reach me at 313-643-5323. That's again 313-643-LEAD, LEAD.
What's the date there?
Because that's what we do, LEAD. April 1st, 8:30 a.m. Restoration Towers on Losser.
Okay.
Just south of Finco and 6 Mile.
Okay.
Across from Crowell Recreation Center.
Okay.
And Sherry, if somebody wants to help with your campaign, how can they get in touch?
313-643-5323. Again, that's 313-643-5323.
Website?
VoteSherry.com.
VoteSherry.com. And you got my numbers now, so you get reach either one of us. So we're going to get back to you. We're going to have a date to bring the community together, and we're going to get the leaders together.
Yes.
So we have our own community forum that we
That's
put
right.
together,
All
and
my
we
realtor
advocate.
friends.
The Detroit
Shirley Bass,
Association of Realtors leading the way. Thank you.
Tanisha Wilson, all my homegirls, realtors, Harriet.